So we have here a summary of the difference between a customer and a client when you're working with a buyer. And a lot of the confusion over the years, I think, has come because we've shown houses before we have any discussion about our relationship. We meet people on the driveway. Are you working for them as a customer or a client at that point? Well, who knows? Nobody has brought it up. And that's part of how the lawsuit started, is because there's this confusion about who's working for whom. So I think that's one of the things that's going to come out of this, is a lot of clarity about the relationship that you have with the person buying the house. So the first column talks about a customer. So just to review a little bit of what Dennis went over, you have to be honest. There's no place in this business for dishonesty. So it doesn't matter who you're working with, what your relationship is with them, be honest. And if you are working with a buyer as a customer, you need to look out for the seller's best needs. The customer, you have no relationship to that person. You are working on behalf of the seller in that situation. And you're obligated to relay all information received from the buyer to the seller. So if they tell you something that may have an impact on the offer, you need to relay that information. You must provide material facts but cannot offer advice or opinion regarding the property. So as Dennis mentioned, we cannot hide any material defects. That goes without saying. If the roof leaks, the roof leaks. Everybody needs to know that. But you're not going to offer an opinion about how long it's been leaking, whatever, the possible damage done. That's up to them. You're going to recommend they get an inspection. Yes, the roof leaks. We recommend you get an inspection, period. No price counseling. So Dennis mentioned that you might provide a CMA. I recommend that you provide a CMA only if it supports the seller's price. And you want to, if you do offer some comparables, just make sure they're the ones interpreting the data. You're not going to be suggesting anything about the price to them, unless, of course, it supports your sellers. Well, you may want to in that case. Suggestions made regarding financing or terms must benefit the seller. Negotiate on behalf of the seller. And you're going to work to close the transaction to satisfy the seller. So, the terms, the timeline, the negotiations for inspection purposes, all of that is going to be done on behalf of the seller. On the other hand, if you have a client, the client is a completely different situation. You're going to be representing them in this transaction. Of course, you're going to be honest. You're going to be completely loyal to the buyer's needs. The buyer is going to be able to speak freely to you. Because you're going to be, you have a duty to confidentiality in that relationship. So, if they tell you things about their personal lives, their situation, you are not to disclose that to the seller. Advice and opinion along with material facts and you can educate and advocate for the buyer. So all along the way you're going to say, this house is overpriced. If you like it, we might not want to offer what they're asking. Maybe they want it so desperately that you need to just share with them, I think it's a little overpriced, but if you want it, let's do it. Just make sure they're going in with their eyes wide open. Provide price counseling and a CMA. In this situation, you want to make sure they have all the information they need to make an informed decision. So you're going to run, a big CMA for them, make sure they know what the property's worth based on all the information available. Suggestions will be made in the buyer or client's best interest. So, if you think that the price is too high If you think another lender might have a product that is better for them, better suited for their needs, you should recommend that lender. That kind of stuff, but you're always looking out for their best interest. You're going to prepare the offer and negotiate on their behalf. Unlike if you're representing somebody as a customer, you're not going to negotiate on their behalf. You might write up the offer, but you're working for the seller. In this case, as a client, you're going to do everything you can to negotiate for that buyer. And you're going to work to close the transaction to the satisfaction of that buyer. So, you're going to be working on the terms and everything that meets the buyer's best interest.